This piece of Lisa is being brought to you by Mutual Security Credit Union. Find out more at mscu.com.
To the animals, learn all their languages.
Well, sometimes we would be better off if we could talk to the animals. I don't know why we have the hubris. You're listening to the Lisa Wexler Show to think that we know more than they do. And, of course, the more you know, particularly about elephants, the more you realize what a crime and a sin it is to abuse them in any way. There's a wonderful book that became a wonderful movie called Like Water for Elephants, and we are joined right now by the screenwriter of that film, Richard LaGravenese. Richard, how do you pronounce your name? Hello? Richard? Hello, Richard?
Hello?
Hi, Richard. I want to pronounce your last name correctly. How do we do that?
LaGravenese.
LaGravenese.
Yeah.
And you wrote not only this wonderful Like Water for Elephants, but also The Bridges of Madison County, which I saw, The Horse Whisperer, which I saw.
Yes.
So you wrote these magnificent screen adaptations, which is no small feat, because actually it's very hard to say very often that the book is as good as a movie. And I have to tell you that with respect to Bridges of Madison County in particular, I thought the movie was even better than the book.
Thank you very much.
Even better.
Well, with Meryl Streep and Clint Eastwood, it's not hard.
Well, it is hard, though. It is. They just make it look easy, but as you do, but it is hard. So tell those who are listening right now, tell us a little bit about the challenge of translating this incredibly moving Like Water for Elephants into a movie.
Well, the challenge is that there's a lot of book there. It's a wonderful story, and Sara Gruen, the author, filled it with so much incredible detail. Francis Lawrence, the director, and I fell in love with the world in 1931 traveling circus, and the hard part was what we couldn't fit into the movie. That was probably the hardest challenge. And then, finding what the core story was, which we decided was the love story.
That was very interesting to me. And by the way, I apologize. It's not Like Water for Elephants.
Do you know that I did the same thing as I was working on it for over a year? I did, because I kept thinking of Like Water for Chocolate.
That's
it.
I
kept saying the same thing.
Oh, so thank you for not criticizing me. I appreciate that, Richard.
I made me laugh because I did the same thing.
I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. It's Water for Elephants. It's shown at the Ridgefield Playhouse on Sunday night, and you can go. And actually, if you call in right after the break, right after my conversation with the screenwriter Richard LaGravenese, at 203-845-3044, we will give you a free pair of tickets to Sunday night, which is always fantastic because there's a Q&A and you'll be there, right, Richard?
Yes, I will.
So you had this challenge of taking all these details, but when you're writing a screenplay, are you writing in the visual details that you feel need to be there in order to make the story that you want the people to see?
A screenplay is everything. It's images, it's dialogue, it's action, it's description. It's everything you see on the screen is on the page.
Okay, so you have to draw the picture for the director, and then the director fills in with his own visual. Then
you work with the director, and a director has the film is a director's medium, and you're giving him the blueprints, and then he has the vision, or he or she, and then you do changes, and new ideas come, and you collaborate together. Francis and I had a wonderful collaboration on this, and worked very closely on the script for a long time.
Now, Water for Elephants stars Reese Witherspoon. Who else is in the cast?
Robert Pattinson, from the Twilight movies, and Christoph Waltz from Inglourious Basterds.
The thing is that Water for Elephants, it's very interesting that you decided to draw out of it the love story, because that's definitely, first of all, it's optimistic, and it's love, and it's poignant, but the part of the book that I most remember is the circus itself and the training and treatment of elephants. Mm-hmm. How did you portray that on screen in a way that audiences can handle?
Well, that's a great deal to do with, how the director shoots it. It is a part of the story. It's a very important part of the story, a very moving part of the story. Rosie, the elephant, was played by an elephant whose name is Tai. She's 43 years old. She's been an actress, acting elephant for a very long time. She's just the most graceful, beautiful creature. And through rehearsals and some special effects, you get to portray the brutality of this period without it ever harming the elephant. When Christoph, you'll see in the film, beats the elephant. In fact, on set, his stick never touched her. It was sort of a CGI addition after, and she was being coaxed off camera by her trainer to do little motions and reactions that, with the magic of film and editing, makes it look like she's being hurt.
And the coaxing is also not intimidation or fear?
No, it's all verbal.
Oh, it's verbal.
Yeah, he stands off and he gives her commands, and she listens to him.
And why does an elephant listen to a trainer? What does that come from? What's that relationship about? Oh,
I don't know. They've been together for over 30 years.
That's unbelievable. I didn't know that there were elephants trained to be actresses.
I don't know. I mean, she's worked in many things, in commercials and other films, and she was just a beauty. She's a really beautiful creature.
I read in Vanity Fair this month. Do you happen to read Vanity Fair?
I do. I didn't read it this month.
Well, this month there's an article about the poaching of elephants, how it's on the upswing because of China, how China is now the source of the greater demand than ever for the tusks.
Oh, that's terrible.
And it's so terrible because there was the great elephant massacre of, I guess, less than 20 years ago when 1 million was slaughtered in a year.
My God, yeah.
And now the population is down and can't afford to lose any more, and they're still killing elephants. And these creatures, in some ways, are superior to human beings.
Oh, they're extraordinary. There really is something. There's so much grace about them. It's hard to describe. They're really extraordinary creatures.
So anyway, tell me about, for you, once you hand in a script, and I understand you work hand in hand with the director, are you then part of the screening process, physically there, changing lines every day as you go?
Not every day, but it depends. Each film is different. It depends on the project. On this one particular, yes, I was invited by Francis Lawrence to participate, to continue in rehearsals, and I was on set when I could be, and when there were changes needed, I was there to give them, and so yes, I was part of that. Sometimes, in another case, a director can take a script and then just go off and do their own thing, and a writer is not involved. It's pretty much at the behest of the director.
Were you involved with Bridges of Madison County and the horse?
Bridges, I was involved with Clint up until they started, up until I did my final rewrite for him. But Clint is, he's his kind of filmmaking. He shot that film in 5.5 weeks, and it was there was no need for me to be there, and I don't even think one of the producers ever saw a day on set because he was so fast and so. He knows exactly what he wants, and he's such a professional at what he does. So, no, on that one, it wasn't necessary.
That's sort of like Hitchcock. He did everything ahead of time, and then he just shot the movie.
Yes, yes, he did.
Right?
Yes, he did.
And what about The Horse Whisperer? Was that directed by Robert Redford?
Yes, it was. Redford and I worked together on the script for a long time, and then we flew out to Montana before production, and he brought me to the sets, and I would continually be available to him for rewrites. But I was only there, I think, for 1 or 2 days of shooting, but not consistently because I was busy doing other things.
It's a funny coincidence that I just met Buck Brannaman, who is the Horse Whisperer in real life.
There's an article about him somewhere.
Yeah, because they made a wonderful documentary about him, and the documentary, in fact, was written and directed by a gal who lives in Redding, Connecticut.
Oh, isn't that interesting?
Cindy, and I can't remember her last name, but it's getting a tremendous release because it won Sundance, and so now it's getting, in fact, it's at the Bethel Cinema opening this weekend.
Oh, terrific.
Yeah. Do you live around here, Richard?
I have a place in Connecticut, but I primarily live in New York.
Yeah, and so you're going to be out on Sunday. So what are the kinds of questions, that when people ask you about your craft, I mean, I can continue to ask, but I'm just curious, the ones that stick with you, what's sort of the most common thing that people want to know in terms of how you got to be where you got to be in your career?
How did you start? What was your first, entree into the business? Your first script.
So many people want to be screenwriters, and for so many,
screenwriting tends to be something that everybody has a second job as their second job. It's like they have their regular job and they're screenwriters. It's the one thing that everybody seems they think they can do better than the people who are doing it, and that there's not much craft to it. It's a funny thing. It's the only profession I know of in the movie business where people do it as a sideline, thinking they're just as good as the professionals.
And so, Did you begin as a different kind of writer, or straight out of college or wherever it was you decided you wanted to write for film?
Well, I always loved film. I grew up loving film, and but then I was a theater major in college, and I was writing various things in that arena, and then I got an opportunity to co-write a screenplay with a friend of mine who had already sold a screenplay idea to a producer, so I sort of apprenticed with him, and then I wrote my own screenplay, and when I sold that, I've been working ever since.
Did your screenplay get made into a movie?
Yes, it's called The Fisher King.
Oh, that was a very well. That was with Robin Williams, right?
Yes.
Oh, and who might Judd? Was it
Jeff Bridges and Mercedes Ruehl won the Oscar for it.
Right, but who's the guy that? Was there a guy that played a hobo in it other than Robin Williams?
Yeah, well, Michael Jeter was in it.
That's who I'm thinking
passed
of.
away.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was wonderful.
Yeah, so and that was quite a great start. And how is it that, from emerging as a novice, you actually got your screenplay sold and made into a movie? That in itself is a great accomplishment.
That was. It took a few years. I didn't know what I was doing, and it took. I think I finished the first. Well, I finished one of the drafts in '88. It didn't get made until '90, and I think I started working on it in '86. So it took quite a while.
Do you enjoy adapting others' original works in the form of a book into a screenplay?
I do enjoy it. I enjoy writing originals too. There's two different kinds of animals, but when a story is a great story, I enjoy adapting it.
And are you working on anything right now?
Yes, I'm adapting a book called Unbroken.
Oh, you're doing Laura Hillebrand's Unbroken?
Yes.
That's my favorite book of the year.
Isn't it a great book? It's just fantastic.
Oh, my God.
And a couple of months ago, I went out to California, and I met Louis Zamperini, who lives in Los Feliz, and he's just the most amazing man. So it's an incredible story, and I'm deep into it right now. It's my favorite book of the year. We interviewed, I got a chance to speak with Laura over the phone like you. Oh, that's wonderful.
And
she's such a great writer. She writes page-turners of nonfiction.
Well, I happen to have thought that this was worlds beyond and better than Seabiscuit, myself, in terms of her prose.
Okay.
That's just my own opinion.
But I loved Unbroken.
I loved Unbroken, and the story of Louis Zamperini, you almost couldn't make it up. It's It's really extraordinary. You're going to have a hard time making a believable film about that.
You think?
Well, because it was almost an unbelievable story, except it was so well documented you knew it was true.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so the dimension of the documentation is sort of missing from most films, if you know what I mean. So
yeah, no, all this is true.
So it's going to be but what a great challenge. I'm looking forward to that.
Thank you.
Well, I wish you great luck with that, and congratulations on Water for Elephants. And I'm sure the audience on Sunday night are really going to have a good time meeting you and getting to ask you all kind of questions about the craft and the making of this really beautiful movie.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you very much. Richard LaGravenese on the Lisa Wexler Show. You've just been listening to A Piece of Lisa. If you'd like to listen to the whole 2-hour show, please go to lisawexler.com, where all shows are archived. And do follow me on Twitter @Lisa Wexler. Thanks for listening.